So let's start with a little story. Razia's husband was not home when early warning systems about the cyclone hit the town. When Razia realized she was potentially in danger, she had to wait for her husband's permission to leave the house and go to a safer location. Unfortunately, her husband did not come home on time, and the water started flooding her house while the wind was tearing her roof apart. She was holding on to her daughter as the current was dragging her to an unknown location. As her lungs were filling up with water, she wished she had been taught how to swim. Once the storm passed, she was desperately looking for her husband, and she wondered how she would be able to earn an income without his help, as she had received no education and didn't have any qualifications. While Razia's story is fictional, it resembles the narrative of many other women. Did you know that women, boys, and girls are 14 times more likely than men to die during a disaster? It's because gender divides all societies, whether we like it or not. Cultural roles and social constructions often determine a person's access to social and economic resources. Women are often denied the right to vote or inherit land, but they also have less control over income earning opportunities and cash within their household. Less access to resources without compensation to provide safe conditions leads to increased vulnerability, and for this reason, women tend to be more vulnerable to hazards. Gender inequalities often place women in disadvantaged positions, making them more exposed to disaster threats, but also to gender-based violence such as rape and domestic abuse that tends to increase post-disasters. So I spoke to Dr. Ilan Kelman on this issue, and here's what he had to say.
It is so important to have the perspectives of all genders in dealing with disasters because we all have different knowledges, we all have different experiences. One specific example is that when men have been controlling programs, for example, the materials which are provided to disaster-affected people, they do not consider women's hygiene needs. So menstruation is forgotten about, the materials needed are not there, and women are also placed into situations where they become more vulnerable because men have not considered their needs. By asking women what they need, and also including them in the power aspects and the decision-making, then we can ensure that everyone's knowledges are used and everyone's needs are accounted for. What we know in disaster risk reduction is that to a large extent, it really is just development. So it is questionable about why we even talk about disaster risk reduction. Let's just call it development, which means equity, justice, resource allocation. This means that implementing all of those will immediately tackle women's vulnerabilities as well as men's vulnerabilities, ensuring that we do not create problems for people based on their gender, but instead treat everyone equivalently and ensure that everyone is contributing to stopping disasters.